So as a new diver, have you ever been into a dive shop and gone, don't know whether I need a wetsuit, or I need a dry suit, or whether I need a neoprene or a membrane dry suit? Well, if you have, then watch this and I'll tell you what you need to know. Hi, I'm Untitled Diver and welcome to another video in this series of scuba diving tutorials in which I'm going to be talking about the differences wetsuits and dry suits, which one you need and where you're going to use it. We'll be discussing the different features and the components thereof, so you can understand why you buy one, why one costs 30 quid, why one costs 3 grand, and then you get the right one for you. If this is your first time here, please consider hitting the subscribe button below. That way you get to see all the other videos we've made. And at the side of that there's a little bell icon. If you click that, you'll always get a notification every time we post a new video. So if you haven't got a YouTube account, what you're going to do, click this link up here. I'll show you how to set up a YouTube account. That way you can go in and you'll be able to like, share, comment, and subscribe to different channels and videos that you watch. Stick around to the end where I'll be giving you my top tip. Okay, we'll start off with wetsuits then. And generally when you look on the arm, it'll tell you what size of wetsuit it is, as in how thick the neoprene is. The thicker it is, the warmer you're going to be, but also the more buoyant you're going to be. So this being a surf brand O'Neill, it's a 3 and a 2. So the main body and legs are going to be 3mm and the arms are going to be 2. That gives you, as a surfer, a lot more manoeuvrability and flexibility in the neoprene. So ideal for somewhere in like the Red Sea, down to about 30 metres, but the water temperature is plus 20 degrees there, so you'll not need any more warmth than that. The main feature to discuss on these is the backcountry zip. It's really easy to not only climb in and out and to sort of put it on, but then to pull this over your shoulder and do up. The point to note is make sure you get the Velcro done up right, because it's going to do one or two things: either not fasten up properly, so it'll allow the zip to open during your dive, or it'll irritate the back of your neck. Next one then, this one's mine, and it's as it says on the arm, a 5.3, so 5mm on the chest and the legs, and 3mm on the arm, so slightly warmer. Notice the zip across the front. That means it's a top neck entry, so you climb in, then you pull something over your head like a bit of a hood, which is this bit here, and then you zip it up. It reduces the amount of water that flushes. So as this one, it's got a little bit of a flush flap at the back. This one doesn't have anything at all. So that completely reduces the amount of water that does come in and change your core temperature. Ideally, the way these work is they keep water in the wetsuit and your body warms that water, and if it's coming in and out all the time, your body's forever warming it, so therefore you're getting cooler. Yeah, so the surf-specific wetsuits, they're not made of compressed neoprene, so as they go deeper, they compress themselves to become thinner, so you become cooler over time. Whereas these are made of compressed neoprene, so this says it's 5mm, and at depth it'll still be 5mm. So these two are dive specific then, so the neoprene has been compressed to give it the thickness it's at now, so it won't at depth go any further. So this being a 5mm, marketed as the version of a 7mm, so it's flipping warm. We dived this a couple of weeks ago, to which I put a link to the video up here, and the water temperature is about 5 or 6 degrees. I did half an hour and the only thing that was cold was my feet. So this is perfect in that, but snorkeling, not diving. At depth, obviously, it'd be quite cooler. It's got a liner in there that keeps you warmer and helps trap sort of air within it. And in the cuffs of the ankles and the wrists, it's got this smoother fabric which helps reduce water flooding. Flicking it over then, it's got a back entry zip, which as you open it up, it's got an internal jacket. It stops water flushing through, keeping that a lot warmer for you. Moving down further still then, we've got this one from Northern Diver. This is a semi-dry, so different than a normal wetsuit. This is a semi-dry, so it's the idea being is trying to turn the cuffs of the ankles or the wrists over to create a seal, so any water that does get in through perhaps the neck stays within the wetsuit. That way you're not going to get that constant flush or any flush at all. I've been known to come out of the water with one that's held in so much water that the ankles and your calves look like you're the elephant man or something. You've swollen up like that because they're full of water. So it's quite funny, especially if you've had a wee in there, because your feet stink. So turn it over then, on the back you can see it's there 6mm. And if you open it up, similar to the Fourth Element one, it's got an internal jacket. So again, it reduces that flush coming through the zip. Certainly for you feeling the cold water running in. Okay, so I've turned all the wetsuits inside out now, so you can see what the internal layers are like. So look at this first surfing wetsuit, just being a thin one, just 3mm. It's not got any special sort of fabric on the inside to keep you warmer or help it dry quicker. Whereas moving on to the Flash Bomb, which is from Rip Curl, you can see this fabric here. They call this the Flash Bomb because of the material. It's got taped seams which prevents where it's been stitched any water flushing through there, so it keeps you warmer. But this certainly dries off a lot quicker. and provide some sort of thermal protection while you're in the water. So moving down to the Proteus 2 from Fourth Element. Again, it's got the similar sort of wick away type fabric, and certainly much more warmer to feel. So when you get into it, when it be cold and wet, maybe for your second dive, this certainly dries off a lot quicker and helps you feel a lot warmer. Like I said earlier about the cuffs being this sort of smoother material, prevents that water flushing through, and this will obviously catch little pockets of air in there, microscopically they might be, but that in turn keeps you warmer. And then moving down to the semi-dry, you can see where sort of the inner jacket come vest that pops over your head goes to line over where the zip would be, so that's like a smaller little internal bit. And you can see with the cuffs, they've still got the normal material on the inside, but as you flick them over, it becomes smooth and creates that seal against your skin. That's the same down at the bottom. And what these have done is where they've had the overlock stitching to prevent any piercing of the fabric, they've just put these little glued circular discs on there just to stop any threads coming sort of free on that. So that just makes it last a bit longer. So I like to stay really warm in the water. Certainly if I've just got a pair of shorts on, you could just put this little sort of tank top on. This is made by SEAC, it's neoprene again, and it's got that sort of thermal lining. So depending how warm it is, I may wear this underneath my wetsuit just to add that extra layer of thermal protection. Certainly keeping your core warm helps you stop from sort of getting any colder. Then the other option then is a shorty wetsuit. So you can wear this when it's not as cold that you need a full length wetsuit, or you can put this on top of another wetsuit, which will help just keep you that bit warmer should the wetsuit that you've got not be warm enough for the waters that you're in, but you don't have anything better. So you can put a shorty over the top of that. Okay, then so dry suits being for much colder water, longer dives, or to have more functionality. And the first one I'm going to look at is a neoprene one. This one's from Northern Diver. It's kind of more for the beginner come sort of recreational diver that doesn't need too many functions from his dry suit. They're ideally used for buddy use because of the zip being on the back. You've got your normal inflate hose on the front or connector on the front and dump valve on the arm that allows you to inflate and deflate. Therefore, you're not going to get that suit squeeze at depth. Got some nice little pockets on the side. There you put your spare mask, even clip stuff too if you need to, like your camera or something like that. And they come with a boot that's already fitted, so you don't need a spare set of boots. And these are nice and rugged and will last quite a while. Just make sure you get the right size for you. As I mentioned earlier, then they've got the backcountry zip. Makes it really easy to get in and out. However, it's harder to zip it up on your own. So you do need a buddy or at least someone around to just zip that up for you. The more technically inspired one, it'll be a tri-laminate or a membrane dry suit. So it comes with a dry glove system. So you basically fit this and you can wear it without gloves. But if you want to keep your hands warmer and drier, certainly in the colder weather, you put a glove on with a special cuff that fits within this, and that keeps your hands dry. I love that system because I suffer from the cold all the time. It's got the same sort of inlet and an outlet for the compression of your dry suit or your buoyancy control. The main difference is you've got a zip across the front that allows much easier entrance and to be able to sort of unzip it and do it up yourself. The pockets are slightly different now because we're talking more kit and equipment we need to take out of us, whether it be a lift bag, different slates, spare kit like spare masks and so on. So it's got a multitude of different compartments to the pocket. Quite often has great big elastics for you to sort of strap stuff to. It also comes with a crotch strap because these are a telescopic type dry suit, so you can get it over your head. It needs to be longer. So once you've fitted it, you do the crotch strap up, which lifts the suit so it's telescopically reduced or raised and taking it off. On this you can also have a P-valve fitted, so certainly for blokes it's very easy. If you're in the water for quite some time, certainly me after drinking a couple of mugs of tea in the morning, I need to wee all the time, so I can fit a catheter condom, then that clips into the hose of this and I can just open it whenever I need to go to the toilet. Certainly if I was on a long decompression stop, I can just go whenever I need to go, open it up and fasten it. The main difference between the neoprene and the tri-laminate I find is the neoprene gives you a much greater compression. So if you do have any sort of pockets of air in there, they're squeezed out quite easily. But with a membrane, what I find easier is it's much more comfier to move, it's less restrictive, but both of which you're pretty much going to need some sort of thermal underlayer, whether it be just like a thin jumper, long sleeve top, or even maybe some proper thermal stuff which we'll cover on another video. This was the first kind I started off with. Used to love this. I was always warm in this. But because of the type of diving I do, I went on to tri-laminate. Do a bit of solo diving now, so I can be completely self-sufficient wearing this. I don't need anybody to come and assist me, really. So to that end, this is the one I dive now. But I'm so much colder in this, so I need several more layers than I do in the neoprene, which is why it's great for beginners, because they're going to feel the cold straight away. You don't want them put off from diving. So maybe a neoprene is quite a good one for that. So with my dry suit then, it comes with just a neoprene sock, so you wear a rock boot for that, which I covered on the video about keeping your hands and feet warm. I'll put a link just up here. What I'd suggest is get one with a really stiff sole. That way it's much easier, certainly coming up pebble beaches. We found it in Chesil Beach a few years ago. The inclines like that to walk out the water, and the pebbles are massive. So a nice stiff shoe on the bottom of here is great. And this is ideal because it fits your foot perfect. And if and when it wears out, you just change your shoes all the time. So ideal if that's the way you want to go. If you've got any questions about the stuff I've just talked about, if you want me to go into any more depth, let me know. But for me, if you're going in warm water, you've got a 3mm wetsuit. If you're going in cold water, you want a tri-laminate or neoprene dry suit. And depending what kind of water conditions and what kind of diving you're doing, you'll get one or the other, or perhaps have one for each. So if you're just recreational diving, nice neoprene, keep you warm. If you're doing technical diving and you need to have loads of different functionality from your suit, maybe a tri-laminate. Okay then, so we've been covering the basics of wetsuits and dry suits from a 3mm, 5mm, a 6mm, and then a neoprene and a tri-laminate dry suit. So the 3mm is ideal in water that's anything above 20 degrees really. The 5mm sort of 15 to 20 thereabouts, and then the 7 or 6 or 7mm perhaps a little bit cooler. But you do want to start thinking at that point, am I going to wear gloves, am I going to wear a hood, am I going to wear any additional layers on top of that, as we covered the shorty perhaps, or even the little tank top. And then if you're getting anywhere near 10 degrees, then certainly you want to be looking at a dry suit. And then depending how technical you are as a diver or just recreational, whether you want to go for one or another, maybe you want to just get a tri-laminate straight away, because it's going to future-proof your kit, so you don't have to buy another dry suit further on in your career. Typically you can pick up a 3mm for about 30 quid. Just some cheap brand. It doesn't need to be any old brand. You know, if you just go in the Red Sea and you're going to be scropping through wrecks, you don't want a 500 quid wetsuit on, because you're just going to get wrecked in it. So get yourself a 30 quidder, absolutely fine, and you can probably leave it there, give it to one of the dive guides to be chuffed to bits. And then typically you're going to have a massive step up then if you go to a decent 5mm and a proper scuba diving orientated wetsuit. As we talked about, the crushed or pre-crushed neoprene, then it's going to stay as warm and buoyant at depth for you. So you're going to be looking between 200 and 300 quid for a decent 5 or 7mm wetsuit. And then when you're looking at dry suits, you can pick up a very simple basic neoprene dry suit for around £500, and then anything up to about 2.5, maybe 3 grand for a decent dry suit that's made of the tri-laminate or membrane material. Now bearing in mind, if you're going to go and spend that kind of money, what you are actually getting is a tailor-made suit. It's almost equivalent to going to Savile Row in London and having a tailor measure you up, and every part of that suit is made to measure for you. So it's extremely specific for you. So my top tip then is going to be that size matters. So whether you've got a wetsuit on and it's 3mm, or you've got a dry suit on and it's cost you 3 grand, what you need is one that fits. So if you're going to get a wetsuit, make sure it's nice and snug all over, not too tight that your hands are going blue and you can't move your feet, but it needs to be quite snug fitting. That way the water that's in it stays within it and keeps you warmer. And then the same with a dry suit. You don't want it too long in the leg, and you don't want it too big in the foot, and you don't want it too tight around your neck. So make sure you get whatever you get fitted for you. Certainly off the peg, there's plenty that are out there if you're a normal sized person. But if you've got obviously super long chuck rock arms, then maybe you need to go and have a look at a more custom fit one. So I want to thank Neil at Northern Diver and all the people at Northern Diver that support me doing this. I am not being sponsored by anybody to do it. I just got a bit of support. They've lent me some kit to do this because obviously I don't have that dry suit. So I want to thank them. Really helpful to me in doing this. So if you do have any comments or questions, or you want to tell me what kind of setup you've got, or ask about what kind of setup I've got, just put the comment in the box below and I'll certainly get back to you, and I'll also give you a thumbs up. All the details of all the kit that I've described in this will be in the actual description at the bottom, so have a good read through that and you'll see what sort of stuff we're going on about. And make sure you watch the rest of the series, because there's loads of stuff on there for new and inexperienced divers, or even quite experienced divers, so you might learn something new that you didn't know. So thanks for watching, see you on the next one. See you on Insta.